After a while, you just begin to believe what these images say. You just end up accepting and believing in the subliminal messages, and this affects how you see yourself as a learner. These elements harm my subconscious and my psyche. In other words, these interactions in school were becoming an everyday part of my life. If something doesn't help you, after a while, I believe passive elements, whether they be posters in hallways, classroom decor, or whatever, they take a negative spin and do nothing for you. Think about it. White walls can feel like a prison of boringness, trapping the most brilliant of minds. At the same time, if teachers are just putting anything on the wall, these decisions can have an adverse effect as well.
For over 2 decades, I've observed and documented graphic design in Boston and Providence high schools, looking at the relationship between designs created by teachers and designs inhabited by students. What are students telling us about the shapes, colors, and text that they inhabit in school? My work is about connecting the language of visual communication both in and out of school. My problem of practice addresses the need for teachers to validate a student's design instincts using concepts from graphic design. Design instincts are preferences for shapes, colors, and text embodying one's values, beliefs, and cultural perspectives. Graphic design is a field of expertise where both pictures and words are valued as one simultaneous language. In 1963, Richard Fantz, American developmental psychologist, pioneered several studies showing that within the first 5 days of life, infants recognize forms such as a circle or a face based on visual cues promoting comfort and trust. High contrast graphics are preferable as infants' eyes develop. For infants born with low sight and blindness, evidence shows perceptible light patterns reveal forms. As infants become toddlers, marks spontaneously appear on various surfaces, from paper to sand. On the left is a mark my son Enzo made around the age of 2, accompanied by car sounds. This mark is also the letter O Enzo is learning alongside his mark making. As American graphic design educator Philip Meggs revealed in his 1989 book, Type and Image: The Language of Graphic Design, almost every graphic form, from a small period at the end of a sentence to the most complex color photograph, has a dual existence. It's an optical phenomenon with visual properties, and it's a communicative signal that functions with other signals to form a message. This is graphic design. The goal of this sophomore study intends to find the relationship between the critical features of a picture and type style for the purpose of creating a clear visual communication, a skill applied later to posters, logos, and book cover designs. Here, form and concept come together in an exercise as I listen to a song. I asked my faculty, Ken Hebert, as I asked in my senior thesis, can graphic design be spontaneous? Immediately, he suggested I go down to the library, and I found a book by Rhoda Kellogg in her 1969 book, Analyzing Children's Art, finding similarity between this toddler's drawings and my graphic design study, leading to my wonderings about the design instincts. After studying over 1 million children's drawings from around the world, Kellogg found that children draw the same things at the same ages. This is her design showing the progression from scribbles at age 2 to recognizable pictures at age 6. In 1980, during her graduate thesis at Smith College, Leila Gandini, United States liaison for the Reggio Emilia approach, reveals an emergence of style from spontaneous 3-year-old drawings produced at home and at school. My first research question is, how do teachers use graphic design to facilitate the learning process? What is the relationship between a student's design instincts and learning? My third research question is, how might graphic design serve as the basis for a picture word language cultivated in schools at every level without interruption from early to adult learning? A model I created in 2008 disproves the notion that children are only skilled using either pictures or words, revealing they can excel in both through an ongoing graphic design education. My theoretical and conceptual frameworks include models I knew before coming to USC and new ones introduced by USC Rossier faculty mentors who have guided this study. I'm using Richard Meyer's cognitive theory of multimedia learning as my theoretical framing, showing people learn more deeply from pictures and words than from words alone. This theory is in alignment to the premise of design instinct learning and a graphic design education. My conceptual framework is grounded in both Ron Darvin and Bonnie Norton's model of identity and investment from 2015, as seen in their diagram here, and I am also drawing from Laura Rendon's validation theory from 1994, defined as enabling and confirming and supporting process initiated by in and out of class agents that fosters academic and interpersonal development. My proposed data collection methods include interviews with 10 recent American public high school graduates on the value of design and learning, aligned with document analysis, coding, bulletin board, poster, handout, and whiteboard typography I've collected for over 2 decades in public schools located within the urban core of Boston and Providence. Key topics from my literature review including the historical context, past research, including my theoretical framework, and challenges and barriers in context. Historical contexts include 40,000-year-old prehistoric mark making in Indonesia and the logos of Cheryl D. Miller Designs, the first Black female-owned graphic design studio in the 1980s in New York City. In 2021, Cheryl D. Miller commissioned Brandon Waybright, a designer based in Portland, Oregon, to create this data visualization showing Philip Meggs, who I spoke with earlier, History of Graphic Design, now in its 6th edition, showing the lack of representation within the canon for women, people of color, and Black designers. This has essentially been the American canon for graphic design. It was in my undergraduate, it was in my graduate work, and it continues today to be the core text, but what it shows is clearly a lack of representation. Past research uses my theoretical framework in Mayer's 3rd edition of Multimedia Learning and my own chapter writing using Mayer's theory. Challenges and barriers in context include learning style myths showing some students' self-schema that they are visual learners over others. I believe that this has created a mental model for students that has been basically closing off fuse boxes in their capacities. For more dialogue, contact me at Christina@lamorsa@usc.edu for more conversation dialogue. Thank you.